Welcome to Botches Off-Road. Join us as we talk about everything from gear reviews to trail stories, tent camping to rock landing, and all things to do with the outdoors. Today, we have a pretty fun interview with the RadioChatter crew. Is it just you two, or do you have anyone else that works with you?
Just us and our son. He signs all the shipments. So when you get the floppy handwriting, that's from him.
It's not Paul's handwriting.
Gotcha. So these two have a pretty cool little conversation starter game. As you know, we've got 3 or 4 episodes out now. It's a pretty fun little game. So if by all means, go ahead, introduce yourselves, and I know you've got a pretty cool truck.
I do, go ahead.
Okay. Yep. So my name's Paul. I kind of run the day-to-day operations of the game and the shipments and all that kind of stuff. Even though it's her idea, she'll tell you about it. But we've been doing like the overlanding off-roading thing since about 2018 or 19. No, 19, because that's when we bought the truck.
I thought it was after.
Well, we have a 2019 truck, so that
that's true.
sense.
You went off-road. You went off of a paved road, so I guess that counts.
I'm an off-roader.
that counts.
That counts.
Yep.
So, we have a 19 Colorado, Chevy Colorado. And then a few years back, maybe 4 years now, we added the Alucab canopy camper to it. That's like
it is so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Whole interior we did ourselves, custom. So that's our family hobby. We got one little son. He's six years old. We got this new puppy now. So
man,
he's only 2 weeks old.
Yeah, we don't trust him yet.
Yeah,
so
so that's like our primary family activities: to go out camping, off-roading, or overlanding. Started off just us, introduced our son into it, and then decided to kind of gamify it a little bit. When just spending so much time on the road, like we joke, we go down North Carolina or Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, like all that quite a bit. It's pretty central to a lot of other states and friends. So we spend 8 to 10 hours in a car together.
Can I introduce myself?
No, I'm telling the story. And then because once I turn it over, I might as well walk away. So so then we spend so much time in the car together, and then we want to hang out with friends, and then you jump right back in the car again to travel the next day, and it's like, man, we're sick of talking to each other. And so then I'll let her tell the rest of the story since she really wants to talk.
I was just like, my name's Bethany. So we went on our first like overlanding trip after watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, and we started watching Mountain State Overland. We went on a Mountain State Overland trip and had fun. And then that year we had a second one. We had like 2 trips booked within a couple months of each other. So we went on the second one, and the second one was a lot of fun, but it was a little bit more fun because there was a lot more talking on the radio. Kind of broke up the silence. But the first trip, I thought the radio was like for emergencies only, like it wasn't for banter. And then the second one, there was more banter and it was fun, but there was a lot of like gear talk, and I had no idea what was being said. Like I was like, this is fun, but could be more fun if it wasn't so specific to like what kind of ball bearings you have rocking in your truck or I ruined my own joke. But so then like on the third trip, I was like, we were driving down and I had a notepad with me and I started writing down questions, and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm thinking of questions to ask when we're on the trip. And my first question that I came up with and I liked it because it was questions, and I felt like it could create conversation that myself could participate in with having like no understanding. And the OG question is, what was your favorite upgrade to your rig? Or like,
hey, that was our very first episode.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then the follow-up was, okay, well, what was the best? And then the follow-up was, what was the worst? So I came up with like 15 or 20 questions initially. and started asking them on the road on the radio, and was like waiting for people to tell me to shut up, and they were we'd stop at breaks, and we got a lot of engagement, and we'd stop and people were like, I'm really enjoying the questions, really getting to know people, just getting to know more about how they got into the sport, why they're on this trip. And then when we got to the campsite, it was like we were just picking it up and going, and it because I think prior trips talking to the guides was more of like the campfire was more of like get to know you, and we're already hours ahead of that, and and there was a lot more continuation of the conversation of, oh, tell me more about that trip that you took when you're in high school or whatever thing that they talked about earlier in the day. So it was just a lot of fun. Got a lot of really good feedback and encouragement to make a game, and I was like, no. And we kind of shelved it for a year, and then it came back up again. And Paul, and then I'll let you take over now, but he
well, then we'll wrap it up for you.
Yeah, no, he just was saying, like, I think he saw an opportunity if we had some extra money, and he's always wanted to start a business, and he's like, I think this is a great opportunity to just start understanding what it is to like start a business with all of the paperwork that you have, all of like the administrative stuff that you don't really think about, and then gives us an opportunity to like express our creativity when the mood strikes. So take it away.
No, you finished it. That was it.
So do you guys do Radio Chatter full time then?
No. It's
Yeah.
very much a true side hustle.
And it's amazing how much a little game can like take up a lot of time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like when everybody asks me like, hey, how are things going? It's like, it truly is the pure definition of a side hustle. When I don't have time to engage with people, go to social media, email potential wholesalers, like nothing happens. And then as soon as I just start a little bit of engagement, you post some things on social or you respond to a couple things, all of a sudden you get podcast requests or things like that. Like it's what happens. And so last year was just a busy year for us. We started off really strong. We went to More Expo. We did a huge deal with Midland. Midland had our product for free. They bought a bunch off of us. They had it. Buy a radio, get free radio chatter at all their events last year. That carries over into this year. So like it was a big deal with them. And then just our personal lives got busy, and it was just kind of like just the side part of the side hustle. So hoping to really pick it back up this year, try to carve out time. Because we enjoy doing it. We enjoy talking to people. Like we really like it started off as kind of a game. We have some other games you guys talked about on your podcast. We have the After Dark. We have other ideas, but for us, it's like, how can we add something new and unique to overlanding off-roading? Just help build community, build friendships, give something else to do. I mean, like I'm drinking a beer. We all love sitting around drinking a beer or whatever, but let's give something else to do
right there with you.
Other than the same thing we do on every trip. So like if you can get some games in it or whatever, like it's just something different that no one else is really doing. So I'd like to do more of that.
Yeah, we've might have to talk to you because we got a game we're working on right now that would be pretty fun. I'd like to know a little more on how you did some stuff.
Cool.
So
yeah, would be happy. Like part of the fun of doing this is we are not going to become millionaires for making a card
right
game, even 10 card games.
We're going to become billionaires.
We're going to become still in debt to buying boxes of card games that are sitting over there in the basement. But yeah, I'd be happy to. Like but what's amazing too is just the network in the overlanding community. Like when we started doing this and we were talking to a friend of ours about making a card game, he's like, oh, I got a buddy who makes card games for fun. And it was like, playing card. It's like, okay, so we talked to him and he's like, I've printed from this manufacturer, this manufacturer, this manufacturer, this manufacturer. These are the two I recommend. And you're like, wow, you just saved us months worth of work, right? Like, because of overlanding. Like it was pretty sweet. So
yeah, it's one of the cool things about overlanding is there's someone from almost every walk of life.
Yep.
Like I'm a farmer. Mark is a underground construction guy. Did I say that right,
boring.
Mark?
Underground boring. I put
underground boring.
Ooh, there you go. You guys can hit it off.
I used to do environmental site assessments and work with drilling rigs for doing
Oh,
like
okay.
geoprobe and hollow stem augering. Similar but
Oh.
different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we bored this direction, so we're
Yeah.
not really going straight down.
But I mean, it's still a drill rig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And then, Gavin, he manages Gavin does everything. He's kind of a genius. He can do whatever he needs to.
No. No, it's the what how does that saying go? I could do a little bit of everything, but I've never
Jack
Jack of
of
all
all
trades,
trades.
master of
yeah,
none.
yeah, that's
But-
100% it.
It just amazes me because I've met people that, overland full time. I've met people that are homeless. I've met people that, do everything. And it's crazy the world that overlanding has.
Mhm.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, it's a great way to meet people. Just like Bethany was saying, it was a great way to start that communication and kind of breaks the ice. Fun little games to do that.
Yeah.
And I think me and Alex, half the time we're on the trail, we're just got the radio in our hand. We're just talking about it anyway. So, my wife was kind of similar in that aspect, as she would get kind of bored in the passenger seat, and the kids sleeping in the back, and she's just kind of crocheting, and she's like, ask so and so, what are they doing? Like it's kind of, it was kind of the same thing. And I didn't really learn about this until I'd say probably a couple months before we actually did our Radio Chatter episode, and Alex told me about it, and I'm like, dude, perfect. Like that's exactly what we needed. Like, so once we found out, it was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then of course after dark, that makes it a lot more fun too. And you just throw that we shuffle that deck right into ours.
That was fun to make, but then I found myself kind of like hesitant to put some questions in because
Yeah.
they'd be like, what is
on your mind?
exactly?
Yeah, right.
Like,
Yeah. So a
It's-
lot of the times with like our overlanding groups that we tend to ride with, between us, the off-road group, or MST, one of the other big ones that we're a part of, we kind of know each other pretty well, but these help kind of ask the questions that haven't been asked.
Yeah.
And we really value that. That's kind of it's a cool product. It's really outside the box, and it scratches a niche, you know what I mean? For a group that is very they're very outdoorsy and very gear related.
Mhm.
But this kind of helps you just get to know the actual people you're driving with and
Mhm.
create those friendships and bonds. So yeah.
And we've heard stories from people that are similar, where like, I've known this person for years, but then they were on pavement for 8 hours going somewhere, and they're like, I'm falling asleep or something. Someone asked me a question. They're like, I'm tired too. So they pulled it, and then they're like, I learned something about them that I never knew for years. So like, it's great to hear those stories. So it's great.
Yeah, it's informative too. The gear question, like what's your favorite piece of gear?
Yeah.
Being able to answer that and then talk about why it's your favorite.
Yeah.
When you're with a group of other people that are kind of, everybody wants to know what your favorite gear is and what you do like and what you don't like. So, like I said, it starts that conversation. We all get talking about it. So yeah, it's pretty
And-
useful for that.
It's excellent for podcast content.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, right. Yeah.
Yeah. It asks questions like I was saying that we haven't necessarily thought of, and it keeps us within that realm of the overland off-road world. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We like it.
And one thing I remember, like, because we went down, was it last fall or 2 falls ago? We went to Overland the Red,
Mm-hmm.
and that was like kind of our soft launch of Radio Chatter. And so people bought the product, or like they had it out on the trails, and I remember there were some people there that were all by themselves. Like, they heard about it, they showed up, and just someone said, hey, we're gonna go run this trail, and they went along with it. And they said, like, for being by themselves and not even knowing like another rig, it really helped join the group. Because I could see that. Because like, yeah, though you're in your car, it still kind of feels like you're in a situation where you're by yourself and you're like, hey, like, if I show up like, hey guys, can I like tag along with you today to whatever. So it just like helps bridge that and make it, again, build the community and get, especially there's people like we've met that are like, hey, I really want to get into this more. How do I do it safely? Like recommend, and if just, I always recommend like find groups where you're at or go on a guided trip, depending. I don't know what your budget is, but like that helps. But it just definitely helps. By yourself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of stick and we group with MST is they were kind of founded on that, helping out beginners, doing like free group trail rides and stuff like that. They're not like they're not subscription based or anything, but they're very willing to take a bunch of new guys out and run them on trails and give them that support, and it's a chance for everyone to meet. So it was kind of the same thing. Is one of those things to help kind of break the ice and make people feel like they're more welcome, I guess, and more accepted.
I don't know. I just stick with MST for the hot dogs.
Yeah. There's hot dog lore there behind the makers of it, but it's a good group. They did a poker run here for New Year's. That was our first poker run they ever did.
I've heard of that. So they did that in a different thing, and it's what is that like? What is the that was with something with the Ozarks, right?
Oh, they did one too,
or something. But what is that? I guess in general, if there's a poker run or some kind of
So for us this time, first one we ever did. So they pre-scouted the trail, the guys that made it, and found cool obstacles or cool areas, and they planted little flags and put a deck of cards out there and pretty much made a whole trail, I guess, map and logged the coordinates down. And then I think they had 6 of them because the goal is to make a full hand for poker.
Yes.
And so they dropped the coordinates right at 10 a.m. for everyone at the same time. Everyone knew to be in the area, but they didn't know where the coordinates would be. And then once we started, it was kind of a race to get to them. Do the obstacles. Every time you do the obstacle, it's kind of grab a poker card or from a deck of cards. And if you do all 6, you have your full hand. And by the time that we're done with everything, you have a full hand. And then everybody groups up after we do it, and we see who's got the best hand.
Okay.
So it's a fun way to get everyone out there, kind of friendly competition.
Yeah.
When we did it, they probably put a little too many cards. They put a couple decks of cards in there, and then so we had a lot of people with winning hands. So
well, they also didn't shuffle the deck too. So
no. So it was a lot of fun though, and it was a really good kind of first step to making a really, really fun event every year.
Yep.
In the equine community, we do a lot of poker runs, but we've got, people out handing cards out at each location, which kind of helps with that everyone gets a winning hand thing.
Yeah. This one was kind of based off of the trust and everything, that everyone's not gonna take a bunch of the same cards or anything, but but it was really cool. They had some easy obstacles, they had some harder ones. And then they give you the option that you don't have to do the certain obstacle it's at. There was one of them that Mark and I attempted, and I got stuck pretty bad. It was a pretty off camber spot, deep ruts, and of course we were the last people to that obstacle. And Yeah, I sank the truck pretty good, and I could reach out the window and touch the ground. We were that bad. So
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go. I'm.
no, you're good.
What kind of rigs do you guys have?
I'm sorry. We should have said that. I have a 2007 Toyota FJ Cruiser.
Okay.
I got a 2014 Tacoma.
And I have a 98 4Runner.
Wow. Okay. You guys
Yes.
got Toyota family representative.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because I'm a Jeep guy.
Yes, he is.
He just can't go back.
Oh, I can go back. I miss my Jeep a lot.
Yeah. Never does.
We met a guy who had a Jeep and then got a Colorado, and he was like, love the Colorado, solid vehicle, it's dependable, all these things, all these great things, but I just miss my Jeep.
Yeah.
There's a lot of solid axle does that you just wish you had at some points, but
Yep.
a lot of drawbacks to having things like that too.
Breaking all the time.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hey,
Yeah.
my Jeep only broke once when I put a piston through the cylinder.
Yeah. I don't believe it. I didn't see it. I know Alex's history.
I think it was our first trip. There was a guy on it that had the FJ Mark.
Yeah.
And I think if I recall, he said he bought his with like over 300,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
We're like, wow.
Bought it.
And it was manual.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Those are gems nowadays.
He drove it across the country too to get it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those FJs are expensive now.
Yeah.
And I was babying mine for a while, and then once I started off-roading, I got those pinstripes. I said, all right, to heck with it. And mechanically I try not to break anything, but paint's paint. It's just a protective cover. So but after that little off-camber situation, that was probably the hardest obstacle I've done yet. I said, I wipe my hands on it. It's not the kind of stuff I want to do frequently. And I got just past it. We got the card up there. Mark went, and it was just an unfortunate turn of events that he ended up debeating his tire. And
it doesn't help as I was way too low in tire pressure for that obstacle.
Yeah. So we ended up getting him all taken care of, gotten his tire put back on, and finished it out. But it was a lot of fun.
You guys work with Cindy Pope, or you sponsor Cindy Pope stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Or how does that all work?
Yeah. So when we first got started, we started just reaching out to people, saying, "Hey, we're starting. You do whatever. We'd like to send you a free deck." Just to kind of get our name out there. And Cindy was really early one and said, "Sure, send me a deck." Most people didn't even respond. It's like, it's a freaking card. It's like, sure, send me a deck. And then she loved it. Like right away, she's like, "I love this." She actually, I think the first discussion I had with her was, "I had my doubts, but this is actually pretty good." So it sounds weird on paper. We get it. That's why we shelved it for over a year.
Because after the first weekend, our friend Jason was like, "You guys need to make a game." And I was like, "I was just going to give you the list of questions to take on your next guy."
Yeah, there you go.
And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "This has been done before. This is not anything new." And I'm like, I enjoy. So I think the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this is, even from the initial asking the questions, I was nervous about people, stop, your questions are dumb, shut up. Not that they would. He would tell me they're dumb, but other people that are just not more polite ways. But to kind of put yourself, and then okay, we're gonna make this we're gonna make this game, we're gonna make this card thing, and put ourselves out there. It was nerve-wracking for me, but I'm assuming for Paul too. But and then to get the warm reception has been really nice, and seeing all of this feedback, and even we said, or Paul was saying, getting feedback that people were using it and they've grown up together and learned new things, or it helped make break the ice to get somebody to go on a trail when they don't have a single friend in overlanding, So that stuff was like, all right, that's really cool.
Yeah, and Cindy's got like so many of the different events that she does through North
so
Island.
many.
So like it works really well for those kind of groups, right? Where you do
right,
events,
absolutely.
And so yeah, she just really liked the product and started just helping us get connected. So let us come down to Overland the Red because we were new, and she's like, just come down, sell the game. She got us connected last year with Chris from More Expo and got us in the magazine there. Like all sorts of stuff. So yeah, so this year you're gonna see our product at all her events. We've donated a bunch of products. So she's got giveaways for all of her events, just as like a continued thank you for her support. So just to help continue to get our name out there. And then, yeah, she's also one of our wholesalers. So she actually also buys product and sells it at a store. So we got kind of a mixed partnership with her various endeavors that she has. So
yeah,
she is a very busy woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say I'd maybe talk to Benji with what was it, Midwest Outfitters or Overland Outfitters in Missouri. Benji Ward, he's got the Overland.
Oh yeah. I think
he just actually made a store over there, and it's all Overland related, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I have I'm looking at a cork board I installed. We're in the basement. This is kind of my office. And I have things up there like this year is the year to try to reach out to more like potential wholesalers. Like it's great people order from our website, but like no one really knows who we are. Like of the hundreds we've sold or whatever, like no one really knows who we are. So it's like we got to get into these shops and different wholesalers to really just get our product out there. So the goal is to get into more of those. That's really the best way to get our product out there. Not just through Instagram and one-off product. So yeah,
he started and correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, because I'm going off of memory here, but the Budget Overland Facebook page.
Yep.
And then which grew to crazy amounts, and then started the podcast. I believe was it Budget Overlanding?
It was podcast? Budget Overland first, and then now it's Newfound Overland.
Yep. And so he had quite the following, and eventually he switched over to that Newfound Overland. He's just restarting his podcast a few months ago. Just opened the store in Missouri, had a grand opening. Alex and Mark actually drove over to that, and that was pretty cool. They got to meet Benji in person, a couple other guys, make some connections. So it would be a cool opportunity, and he's a pretty cool guy as it is.
That's cool. Yeah. The other like Missouri one is All Roads Taken. That's another great group.
Yep.
And they're out that way too. So.
Yeah, I was thinking on the way home today, trying to race here to make sure I got here for the podcast. I was like, you know what? It would be really cool for like a Kids I Spy game, like a Kids I Spy card game almost. And we were
so we tried. I mean, we've talked to Tread Lightly. So if Tread Lightly's ever listens to this, like we've been trying to talk about this to do a spy game. So like a kids. Like kind of Tread Lightly. They have something you can print on their website, like a matching game. So like we wanted to partner with them on doing one of those as well.
Yeah, that would be cool. It would be kind of fun to do almost like a radio chatter card game, but each one's got like, maybe 5. God, I'm trying to think of something, but 5 certain trees or a breakdown or something.
So like
something for kids.
In Brother Bear.
Yeah. Like roadside bingo. We've joked about doing that, like wanting to do a
river crossing. Chainsaw.
There you go.
Air down.
Yeah.
Like I talk about doing like a bingo for like my Zoom meetings.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you're on mute, and you can be like bingo.
Yeah. I think it's like when we first came out with Radio Chatter, the number one request was like an adult only version.
Oh
And
yeah.
The number 2 was something kids.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be a ton of fun. We have family or kids trips that MST does and stuff, where everybody with kids, they'll bring it around. They'll have little campfires over there, and it gives a chance for all the families to bring their kids, and we're all accepting the wild hooligans that are running around. So gives us kind of a chance to do like a 3-day, all the kids meet each other and run around and play, and it'd be a fun little game. I'm not sure exactly what it would entail, but we always tried to do little games and stuff when we were there, just kind of add something to it.
The other benefit of when you get a bunch of kids together is once you get, I'd say probably 3 or more, they kind of like watch themselves.
Oh gosh, that was my favorite part. The young kids took Jasper and my son, and he was probably 7 months or something like that, 7 months old, and he just started walking, and they were just taking him everywhere. Hey, check this out, check this out. Yeah. He's just a bit over a year old now, and I can't wait for next year. Kids will be rolling all around the woods, and it'll be nice to be able to just relax, talk to the parents, and joke.
Yeah.
So to pull it back to your truck a little bit, other than your Lumicab, what else have you done to it?
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Broke the drive shaft.
Well, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I could say I've upgraded the drive shaft, but replaced it after slamming it into a rock.
Yeah, well, you broke it. Cool.
Yeah. So mechanically, not much has changed. I did replace the rear suspension,
but that was part of getting the alley cab, though, right?
The leaf springs. Yeah,
okay, I'll let you.
Yeah.
But I did replace the rear suspension because I thought they were leaking, because the suspension is known to leak, the first generation of these, which is what I have. Because I got like a vehicle sway going on right now. And it kind of looked like the suspension had a slow leak. So I replaced those, but I still got the sway. I think it's actually the tires now. I got some weird wear on the tires or something.
Are you just planting seeds like, oh yeah, get new tires for the truck?
Yeah. That's what I do with my wife.
So, but mechanically, there's like really nothing. It's stock. I mean that I'm not really. I work for an auto OEM, but I'm not a car guy. Never.
But it's also why you got the Colorado.
That's why I got the Colorado, because I was like, I'm mechanically inclined. Like we're sitting in a basement that I did myself. I can do plumbing, electrical, drywall, whatever. I'm a handy guy, but I just never was into cars. That wasn't. I was the computer guy in high school. Computers.
Hey, me too.
Yep.
So then it was like, okay, I really want to but I've camped, hiked, backpacked my whole life, and I was like, I want to do more. I want to introduce the vehicle to it. So I got into it and was like, but I don't really. I'm not gonna buy, like some of the vehicles you guys have and try to add to them or fix them up. Right. Like that's not my thing. So I was like, but if I buy something capable, I can learn as I break things and need to upgrade. So at the time,
you were driving a Malibu, but he'd always
Malibu.
So he was always talking about, I want to get a truck, and he was like, for whatever reason, no, we don't need a truck. And then we live in the city, so our driveway is very close to our neighbors. It's like 1 car wide, long or wide. It's just tight. So it was like getting a full size truck, and then I think at the time, we did have Jacob. We had our son, so he was like less than a year old, and he said something about like, I want the truck, but there's not a lot of cargo, cab room. And I looked around and I was like, I don't think a truck is much different than this Malibu. Like if we can get the car seat in the Malibu, like there's trucks that have this size of thing. And it was like looking at you, I feel like I saw a light bulb go off. He looked up like the dimensions of the Malibu, then he started looking up the dimensions of the trucks. But when I said truck, I thought he was going to get like a Silverado or Sierra, and then he was talking about a Colorado, and he's like, oh, and if I get this AEV version with this snorkel and all this other stuff, and I was like, what? He's like, so off-road like, what? So I was like, oh, when you said truck, I was just thinking you wanted just to, okay. So I remember because we were sitting at your parents' house and you're looking, and I was like, oh, okay, that what I thought, but this sounds fun.
Yeah, so I wanted like the ZR2 at the time. There was no Gladiator. It was like Jeep or buy something and upgrade it.
And we
then,
were
right.
And full disclosure, we work for General Motors, so we needed to buy
I-
a Jeep product.
I kind of put that together.
So this was like the perfect platform. It was like factory lifted, factory protection, factory suspension, like everything. It was like
lockers.
Yeah, it was the front and rear lockers. Like it was everything off the factory. I was like, I could take it off road the day one, and that's what we started doing. And then we just started more adding for the camping element. Like I like the off-roading, but we are campers fundamentally. Like that's where we came from. So the off-roading just allowed us to get deeper into the woods or off trail to get to the camp spots. Right. That's our fundamental thing. So
I explain when people are like, what is overlanding? And he had to explain it to me. And then when he showed me some videos, and I was like, oh, so it's like backpacking, but you're in a truck.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yep. And that's what our camper looks like.
Yeah.
It literally looks like a backpack.
And I mean,
it does.
people, because I was like, well, we don't want to bring a bunch of extra gear and weight and all that. They're like, okay.
So really, that was long-winded for your question.
Hey,
the Allo Cab is really it. But I mean, we have solar, we have our fridge,
we have a water tank,
water,
propane
for cooking. I refuse to put a heater in. I will continue to state that. Will not put a heater in. And so and then
for toilet.
And then toilet I'd rather have than a heater. I can withstand.
Oh yeah,
what's
toilet
the
is 100% necessary.
What's the distaste for a heater?
Mainly because, I mean, we're from Michigan. Like we're hardier. Like we can.
It's not something I want to do, but I have zero interest in like winter camping.
So I do like winter camping. I haven't done it many times, but I've camped in the cold. Like I've tent camped and woke up with snow on the ground. Like I'm like, if I can do that, I can camp in a truck in snow. This is not a big deal, right? So last year I went 2 times. I went in February and March, and it was the first night was down to 15 degrees. I was totally fine. It was no big deal. It's once it got down to single digits, then I would wake up with ice everywhere just because of the breath and everything. I was like, okay, this is where a heater would actually be nice. You can bring it to 30 degrees or whatever and just manage the humidity. That might have been nice. I know I keep burping the sausage we had.
Your burps and the stock parts.
Yeah.
I think that the big thing to a heater, the only reason I'd be interested is like a diesel heater dries the tent out.
Yeah, exactly. That would benefit. Yes.
When I sleep in a military sleeping system, I can be warm in whatever weather, but just being able to keep the tent from having ice everywhere would be great.
Yeah. And it's only once that I had ice. Like, so that it's like, okay, well, maybe just avoid single digits. That shouldn't be.
Yeah. So for me, and I'd just like to say too that how you guys kind of started with and your kind of attitude about it is very similar to my wife and I, and how we kind of started. And we kind of wanted to, when I started, we did more backpacking, camping, and I kind of just wanted to bring the vehicle with it. And then, we just got just the same kind of thing snowballed from there. Even talking about all the upgrades, even before we even got the vehicle. Yeah, that was pretty standard. But for us diesel heater wise, my wife shivers at like 65. So she's got a sweatshirt on, and I started camping and overlanding pretty, I don't know, seriously, as in every weekend almost. No. With my son when he was probably 6 months old. So having a warm tent, because we are not to the rooftop tent part or anything like that. At first we were like, okay, we're going to wait a couple months till it's warm enough for him, because of how young he was. Yeah. We did great all summer. And then we started getting into fall again. My wife's teeth are chattering. It was one of those things where we ended up going to Tractor Supply, picking up a buddy heater and heating the tent up. So it's just more of a comfort thing for her. Can I do it? Probably. Am I going to love and enjoy it all the time? Is it going to make me want to go out in the middle of the winter all the time? Probably not so much. So I think I'm interested in a diesel heater just for that, just more of a comfort level while we're out there anyway. Or to just kind of bring the temp down a little bit for her, just to make it more bearable, because I am dragging her along half the time.
For one reason that makes me nervous about the heater is the way that our sleeping system works right now with our son is we're up top in like the canopy where the bed is, but then he's small enough to where he can sleep the width of the truck. And so when we out our platform, we put in like ledges so that you can put plywood, like slats of wood over the fridge. And so he sleeps over that. So, and then when he's time for bed, we'll put him in there, we'll lock him up, and we'll just hang out near the truck. But I get nervous about the idea of like little fingers and like open flame. And I mean, I guess we could only use it when we're there too, but it's just like one more safety thing that makes me just nervous. But if he was in there by himself,
understandable. Right. Yeah, I am 100% the helicopter parent. in our relationship, I'm always the one like, hey, don't do that. Like constantly trying to make sure he's not getting into trouble. And for those your system that you have, just depending obviously, but there are Etsy kits, 3D printed ducts that you can work in there. And it would be very similar to just basically having a dryer duct go through it. So your diesel heater stays outside, so there's no risk of flame, no risk of being burnt, and then it just kind of ducts into your wherever you want to actually put it, into your sleep area, your alley cab, so that, and you can most likely put a vent, a grate vent or some sort of keep the fingers out. But that is another option that it's pretty versatile too, and the diesel heaters are really, really good if you have solar power. So they run off a battery and diesel, but even off of just a little bit of diesel, they can heat you for a while. So they keep you really nice and toasty in the winter.
We went to Iceland where our son was born, and we rented a camper van, and they had a heater. I don't remember. I think it was electric. I don't know, but it was nice because it definitely did take like the chill and like the moisture out of the air and really made the inside of the van a lot warmer, to the point of like if it was going on, I wouldn't want to leave, because like their last night was like the best night for Northern Lights.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And our campsite, we were like on the shore. Also, I had just gotten done like showering, so my hair was wet, and like I didn't want I think I brought a blow dryer with me, but I didn't. The bathroom wasn't like ideal for me to dry it, so I just like ran, from the shower house to the van and got in there and like warmed up. He said, "You gotta come out here," and I was like, "I'm not leaving. I'm done. Sorry."
Yeah.
I hate to be that, but I'm cold. Like I'm warm now. No.
Yep. That's
see your photos when they're done.
that would be my wife would be. I'd get the diesel heater or something started up there, and once she's got the heat and she's all snuggled up in bed or whatever, she's not coming back out. She doesn't care.
No camp.
She's show me the pictures. I'll look at them later.
So I mean, that's another thing I like about overlanding, because like we started it and it was like our first time going, it was like super hot. I remember like drenching in sweat as we were getting, like we actually hit some pretty crazy obstacles that I don't think were anticipated. But the nice thing is like you're in your car all day, so it's like you can put the air on, so you can like kind of cool off. It's like when if you have to get out and do stuff, it gets hot, but then, or like when you get to camp, but usually we try and find it like we're the group we're with always tries to find water, so then you're hanging out at the water, so that's nice. Same thing with winter. Like, I guess with winter camping, it's like we'll get in the car, you can warm up the heater, and then when you get to camp, like you can go sit by the campfire.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have
Not
to.
high maintenance, though. It's good. It's good to have separate activities in a relationship.
Yeah.
I think next year we're gonna plan a couple winter trips. You should come out with us one of them.
Yes. I have not made it out this year. I'll go. She probably won't. My son Steve's the same
My
thing.
wife won't go, so
Yeah.
I loved it, and like she's like how'd you stay warm? I was like, I literally walked away from the campfire and climbed into bed.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and I did it the same day. You didn't change? No, because why would I put cold clothes on? I was warm.
Well, sometimes I'll do that though. Like I'll change into my pajamas, but then I'll sleep. Like I'll put my clothes for the next day, like in my sleeping bag, so that they're warm in the morning. But I just, he can wear like the same thing. I'm not like. You guys got a good day. Like I actually put makeup on today. Like I am not usually a fancy person, but I have some limits. Like I can't stay in the same clothes for like 4 days camping.
Yeah. Yeah. The minimalist guy camping style isn't great for families either. So, so
I at the bare minimum have to change my underwear and my shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And so
it's got to change. Too much.
Oh yeah, socks too. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I always bring plenty of those too, and then I'll bring a couple of each just in case. But yeah, I try to make it as comfortable as possible, so that she continues to want to go out. So she doesn't balk away from it really. You know, she goes, if we ever go camping, she always comes. But it's just a comfort level. If she's having fun, we're all having fun.
It's also a lot. Okay, I guess we're going to have an anatomy discussion too here. It's a lot harder as a female when it's cold for using the facilities. And there's just
it is
complexity that I just not something I want to have to deal with. Like
understandable.
So
so you guys have been to Overlanding the Red. You've been to Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
Where is your favorite trip you've done so far?
So this is hard because we have different reasons why. So our first like road trip that we took, we flew out to Colorado and we actually rented a 4Runner, and that was a lot. We really enjoyed driving the 4Runner. And we like flew into Denver, rented it, and did like a big loop and camps. And like we flew out like our backpacking stuff, so we had like our tent and just drove around and camped, and then for like 10 days, and then came home. So that was fun. But then Iceland was fun because it was Iceland and it was different. And
right,
it was a camper van. That was like living in the camper van was cool. That was like our first forte into what we didn't know at the time was overlanding. Because like the 4Runner was just car camping. We'd get out the tent and do whatever. Yeah. I mean, not to get into semantics of whatever, but at the time for us, that was car camping. That's what we knew. And so, so then with the camper van, even though we didn't really off-road it, it was like, oh, we're like living in it and getting out, and like this is interesting. And then it all kind of came together. The 4Runner, the camper van. A few years later, I'm like, oh, this is what they call overlanding. Oh, okay.
And it was what was cool about the camper van in Iceland is like everything was with us. Yeah. So like we'd be driving. I mean, we had like the whole thing plotted out and like an itinerary for each day, and we'd be like en route, and we'd be like, oh, there's a waterfall over there that we missed, so we'd like go check it out. And then like I remember one day we were looking at it and we're like, oh, that's cool. Are you hungry for lunch? Yeah, me too. And we would just like open up the back and get the it came with like a camping stove, tables, chairs, everything we needed, sleeping bags. So, and we brought freeze-dried meals with us. So we just boiled some water and let it sit, and we sat like next to this beautiful waterfall and ate lunch. Whereas like other people would be like, oh, we have to go find somewhere to eat. Or like I actually went back to Iceland over Thanksgiving with my sister-in-law and my niece, and we stayed in hotels, which was really nice too. But it was like you were kind of tethered to that hotel. I mean, it was a much shorter trip, but like I mean, they everything has its pluses and minuses, but I liked that you were just able to keep going and had everything with you. And so you could easily pivot because you're like, I want to eat lunch now, or, oh, let's go do this, or, oh, there's a hot spring. Let's put our swimsuits on and go swim.
Yeah, I think those are they're the most memorable because they turned into be foundational to what we now do.
Yeah.
And even the thing is like at the time we actually took conversation starter games to Iceland.
That's why I was like, this
is a thing that we've done for years. We've always done conversation starter games or things because we spend a lot of time together, but we can't always think of what to talk about. So this was a normal thing for us. So those are the most meaningful. But if you start thinking about, okay, once we got the truck, what do we like? Well, we go to Drummond Island quite a bit. And we tend to go with family, and they rent a house, and sometimes we stay in the house, sometimes we stay in the driveway in our truck, and we do day trips around Drummond Island. So that's become meaningful for us for more of the technical kind of aspect, and it's Michigan, and we enjoy that piece. But then
even if they have to go and destroy it on us.
Yeah, Marva, I know. So many.
The other memorable trip for us was 2 summers ago, and we took 2 weeks off of work, and we drove from Michigan. We went to visit his brother in Omaha, but then we were like, oh, I have a cousin that's in Iowa City. Let's stop and see them. And then we did that, and then we're like, oh, let's go check out this stuff. And then he was looking at it, and we're like, oh, well, next weekend we have a wedding in Wisconsin. And we had a vacation. So it turned into, why would we drive out there to drive back out? So we did this huge loop, and we went all the way over to the east side of Montana to the Dakotas.
Devil Tower, Wyoming is far. And then North Dakota, South Dakota. Yeah. We did all those states, a big circle. It was 17 days.
With our son. Yeah. And so we were and he did pretty good. We made it. We did not want to go more than 4 hours at a time with him without a significant break.
Yep.
And we would go 4 hours, find a playground, let him play and run around. Paul would make sandwiches in the back. We'd eat, and then we continue on. And so I think that was really good for us because we grew up going on road trips, but we're kind of, our radius is not as large because of a small child, but we realized we can start taking some of these bigger trips, and our next, I think in another year or two, I think our next thing will be to take another 2 weeks and go a little bit further west. And maybe at the beginning we have to hammer through 12 hours of straight driving to get to where we want. Yeah. And then do, shorter trips and stuff.
Yeah. That's very similar to kind of how we would do it. The 4 hour you did, I think that's a universal kid thing there. After about 4 hours, it's the screeching and the crying is you gotta stop.
Yeah.
We did around Lake Superior or the UP, go up to the UP, did the whole east up until about Leants, came down, did the whole bottom coast, and did that big trip. And that was very similar. It was every 4 or so hours we stop, make a sandwich, and and that is very nice because you save a ton of money having all your own food. You don't have to go a bunch of different places.
Yep.
Don't need lodging, hotels. State ground is free, so overlanding is a really great way to travel and see everything. And do it kind of. I say budget, but because you end up spending all that probably on the truck to do it, but it's a great way to be able to go and explore and do all that stuff and do it relatively cheap while you're out there.
Yep. And you always have everything you need. So even that trip, we had reserved quite a few places because we were we're going to do this plan, but some days we couldn't drive as far as we wanted because of the kid. Some days are short. We ended up 75% of the places we ended up canceling and just finding somewhere else to stay because it fit. So
better.
That now I'm just after that trip, I'm I'm not reserving places. We're just driving.
Oh, yeah.
You also you're looking at things online and you have no idea of concept of time or oh, that kind of looks close on the map. I mean, that happened in Iceland where we planned the trip very last minute, and so I found this website where you could buy a camper card, and it was you paid a flat rate and it got you so many visits at all these campgrounds in Iceland. And so because I didn't know, I was like, I plotted all those campgrounds, and then we used those plots to like connect the dots. And there was this one where I was like, oh, there was these 2 campsites, and they're like, this very close together on the map. Well, I picked like the easternmost one, and we're driving, and this is getting to like the end of the day, and it's just us. And we go and we're like, oh, that must be the campground. And then we look at like the GPS, and we're like, oh no, we still have like 2.5 hours.
Oh.
So we're going, we're like, what in the hell did I do? And we're going like up the mountains, down valleys, back and forth. And we're like, well, at this point, we got to keep going. And I tell you what, I'm so glad we did, because we found the coolest little city that if I hadn't said, no, I want to go to that campground because that's what we reserved, then have missed out. And it was really cool. It was like you had to go like up the mountain, and then you went down into this valley, and it was like a port city, so there was like a cruise ship there. It was actually one of the only places that was relatively open late. It's not like we were like staying out until 2 or 3 in the morning. It was like things just shut. They had like such weird hours.
Yeah, everything shuts early, but because this was like a port town for this cruise, things were open, and it was like a booming mini city. And we're like,
we found
this
a warm
is amazing.
pub. Talking about back to the heater, we found a warm building where we could go and sit. We got a few pints. He's like, I'm gonna go get us some appetizers, because we already ate dinner. And he comes back with this plate of like lamb,
a big old lamb leg, like
and vegetables. And he's like, they don't apparently do
appetizers aren't a thing outside of the U.S.
It was the best lamb dinner I've ever had, and I think it's just because it was warm, and it was just like
massive lamb.
It was just
That's
warm
awesome.
to be inside, and it wasn't like stewed, watery spaghetti, freeze dried spaghetti.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think my problem was when we started overlanding. Let's say we did that UP trip, basically east to middle UP. I overplanned the heck out of it. I had points everywhere. I had every waterfall all close to the coast already mapped out, and and I really tried to make sure I hit every little mark on our itinerary. But with our son being probably 6 months old at that time, it wasn't happening. We found that out really quick, and then from there, I kind of realized it was nice to have a basic idea of where you're going, and it just kind of let it happen and see where you go, because that's kind of one of the better parts that we ended up doing is we marked absolute major waterfalls that we wanted to see. We just kind of took the coast until, we found, I can't even remember what the little town is, but it was right on Lake Superior in a little bay, and it was absolutely gorgeous. They had really beautiful food trucks. The whole town was just really quaint, and we never would have found that if we stuck to my itinerary. But that is the really cool part about overlanding in general, is just doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, am I muted? No, I'm not. On that note, we should cut this episode off and go to play some radio chatter.
Yeah.